Ladies and gentlemen, this is TVP World. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and welcome aboard the Eastern Express. Today we are looking at a key moment in Central Asia, where the US has a chance to deepen its tie with the region's Turkic states, with Russia's focus on Ukraine leaving a power vacuum and China cautiously expanding its role. Countries like Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan are seeking new partnerships. The United States could be well positioned to step in, but it's not the only player in the complex geopolitical game. With Russia pulling back and China advancing slowly, the Turkic states are at a crossroad. Turkey, meanwhile, is cementing its influence through the Organization of Turkic States, while the US faces a rare opportunity to establish a stronger foothold. Now let's take a look at a report to find out more.
The Organization of Turkic States has agreed to adopt a common Latin alphabet. The 5 member states have overcome long-standing linguistic disputes and settled for a common 34-letter Latin alphabet. A breakthrough came in September when the Commission on the Common Turkic Alphabet met in Baku. For Azerbaijan, Turkey and Uzbekistan already using the Latin alphabet, adopting a standard alphabet may be a piece of baklava, but Kazakhstan faces a bigger challenge as the country is in the process of moving away from Cyrillic. Out of the 5 Turkic states, only Kyrgyzstan opted out of the move.
Kyrgyzstan and Russia are united by strong, long-term bonds of friendship, mutual understanding and support.
Bishkek bent under pressure from Moscow, which fears the loss of influence in the region.
The president of Kyrgyzstan, Sadir Yaparov, does much to preserve the position of the Russian language in Kyrgyzstan.
Linguists who represented Bishkek at the Baku meeting confirmed that a draft of a Latin version of the Kyrgyz alphabet was ready for political greenlighting. But for Kyrgyz President Sadir Yaparov, it was too early for the country to abandon the Cyrillic alphabet, imposed by the country's former Soviet overlords. Russian politicians have repeatedly dissuaded Bishkek from undermining the role of the Russian language, which has official status in Kyrgyzstan. In Moscow, a move toward the Latin alphabet would signal Kyrgyzstan's departure from Russia's sphere of influence.
And now let's take a look at the issue in greater detail. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has forced it to pull military resources from Central Asia, leaving countries like Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan uncertain about their security. Now, traditionally, they relied on Moscow, but now they're exploring new alliances. Analysts said that this is a prime opportunity for the United States to step in and provide security support. However, the US isn't alone in this. China has made inroads through its Belt and Road Initiative, and its economic ties with Central Asia are already deep. Yet there's growing unease about China's influence, especially with corruption scandals and concerns over its treatment of Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang. This creates an opening for the US, but it will need to act quickly. One of the most influential players in the region is Turkey, which has been expanding its footprint through the Organization of Turkic States, or OTS. The OTS includes Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, and Azerbaijan, with Hungary and Turkmenistan as observers. Now, the organization, which began as a cultural alliance, is now becoming a major political and economic force, and Turkey has been leading the charge. The OTS isn't just about cultural ties. Turkey has been deepening military cooperation with Azerbaijan and could offer similar military support to Kyrgyzstan. For the US, working with Turkey through the OTS might be the smartest way to gain influence without stepping on too many toes. On the economic front, the OTS is focused on expanding the Trans-Caspian International East-West Corridor, a trade route that links Europe to Asia through Central Asia, bypassing Russia. Now, this trade route could become a lifeline for regional economies and a strategic priority for global trade. US investment in this project could further strengthen its ties with the region and help create a counterbalance to Russian and Chinese influence. But there are challenges. The US has historically had limited engagement in Central Asia, mainly focused on counterterrorism efforts tied to Afghanistan. Building long-term partnerships will take time, and Washington will need to prove its commitment. The big question now is whether the US can act fast enough. Russia is recalibrating its strategy, and China continues to expand its influence cautiously. So if the United States doesn't seize this opportunity, it risks being sidelined as Turkey, China, and even Iran continues to strengthen their roles in Central Asia. The window for US involvement won't stay open forever. Washington needs to move quickly to solidify its partnership, invest in regional projects, and work with allies like Turkey to ensure a stable and secure Central Asia. The decisions made today will shape the balance of power in the critical region for decades to come. Will the US step up and engage, or let others take the lead? And now, here to shed more light on the issue is Ahmed Nabi, Middle East Studies researcher from Hiddet University. Hello, sir, and welcome to Eastern Express.
Thanks for having me. Thanks a lot.
Right, so we are exploring Russia's waning grasp on the Turkish nations today. And well, one of the things I immediately noticed is that the Organization of Turkic States is now opting to use Latin alphabets instead of Cyrillics. Do you think that is a good indicator that perhaps the Turkish nations are turning away from Russia's influence?
Okay, first of all, thanks for having me again. Yeah, you can consider this step as one of a lot of steps that Turkic states had taken from a long time, not only to go away from Russia actually, but I feel that this is related with the strength of Turkey as a state. I think now Turkey is a regional power state. So Turkey now get a lot of influence that Russia had historically have taken from this Turkic states. Now we see this Turkic council that had changed to be the Turkic states as like a cooperation. Now this get bigger and bigger, day after day. They get economic cooperation, political cooperation, and diplomatic, and so on. So we know that these Turkic states had a lot of cultural, linguistic ties between them. I think now they are trying to make something like the European Union, but with a difference. These states have $4.5 trillion as GDP. They have more than 200 million of as a population. So this is a big block actually of regarding in the terms of population, economy, and so on. So now I think they somehow get away from Russia, from the influence of Russia. But the question is, are they going away from Russia to be more near to Turkey, or they will, create a cooperation with Turkey on equal relations between them and Turkey?
Right, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It is apparent that these nations are turning away from Russia, but then who will they align with is the bigger question there, right? Some experts are saying that this might provide a good opportunity for U.S. and to a larger extent the West to move in and establish its own influence in that area. But some are also saying that China is going to be a very big competitor. What's your analysis when it comes to this situation?
Yeah. First of all, we should emphasize that the importance of this Caucasus region, or this Turkic states region. This region is as a geopolitics and so is very important. Very important for the whole regional power, for Russia, for China, and now for Turkey, as I said, which want to be a regional power and increase its influence in the region. So, who will control these countries? I think this is a big question, not only in this region, now in a lot of regions all over the world. But yeah, for sure, this step for changing the alphabet. It is a sign of that these countries now want to go somehow away from the historical relations with the Soviet Union and with its ancestor Russia. So it's a war of control. Who will control this region? It's a US or not. But I think, as I say, I think Turkey will have more influence in the coming years. I think in Turkey, they are they are focused on this region a lot. They making a very strong relations with states like Azerbaijan, one of the main countries in the Turkic states, with with Kazakhstan, with Kyrgyzstan, and so on. So I think Turkey now have a big influence, and I think it will increase in the coming years and coming days.
Right. I think you mentioned earlier that they are playing up the cultural and linguistic tie to not just cooperate on the culture, but again, like you mentioned, it has expanded its influence where Turkey is now cooperating with Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan with even security and defense related stuff, making it a relatively strong regional power for regional influence. Now, the question then becomes where Turkey's allegiances truly lie. Do you think that Turkey being in such a critical position will be more aligned to the West or that of Russia? Because we've seen it trying to play a balancing act between the two factions, haven't they?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I think for a long time the relations between Turkey and Russia, from a hand, and on the other hand with the EU and the West bloc, I think it will still so confusing for a lot of people. But for me, I think it's somehow clear. Turkey for 1 decade or more tried to join the European Union. But we know that this step had, let's say, had failed, and the European Union, he limited the relations with Turkey for economic and so on. But it will not be a member of EU, as we say from the whole picture. So what Turkey did on the other hand, Turkey tried to join another blocks like BRICS. We know that Turkey now have applied to be a full member of BRICS, and this Turkey states. I think Turkey are now investing a lot of this council and the Turkic States Council for the same point. Turkey are now searching for more markets for its products and so on, as they're now a producing country, military and economically and so on. So this relation between Turkey and the West will still confusing, but I don't think that Turkey can give out or give up 100% from the West. Actually, the European Union is still the main trading partner with Turkey. So Turkey will keep this relations with good relations with the West, with the United States. But yeah, in the same time, it will try again and again to search for more markets, more allies, even if it was Russia. And this is a good point. And I think the European Union, and I think they try now, they are starting to do this, but they need to give what we can call a chance or something for Turkey to consider it or to bring it somehow again to the European Union, to the West, because if Turkey feel that the West are giving up or just throw it out from these relations, and it's one-side relations only from Turkey, I think they will. Turkey will go for Russia, will go for China, and will go more for BRICS. This is an important point.
Right, like you mentioned, this is a very important point. Turkey does have an outsized influence, not just in this area, but in a global theater as a whole. It's situated in such a pivotal position that it's very hard for the West and the United States to just give up on it and, drive it into the arms of Russia or China. Recently, we've seen Turkey being frustrated by its EU prospect and even threatening to join BRICS if they aren't given, EU accession. Do you think this is mostly just a bargaining tool, or is this actually something that's on the table that's being considered?
As you said, Turkey, was frustrating from the rejection of the European Union for all these years, or maybe one decade or 2 decades. They are first, so there's a kind of frustration of Turkey from this point. But as I said, it's not a final step. Turkey not cutting its relations with the West or with the European Union, but let's take it as a threat. an alarm from Turkey to the West, to the whole West. And this was very, very clear in the last years after the Russian-Ukrainian war. Turkey tried to be a mediator between the West and Russia, and we have seen its geopolitical importance and the political importance and diplomatic importance in this war. And I think the West needs Turkey, and also Turkey needs the West. This is very clear. As Turkey is not only important in Turkey for its geopolitical location in this world. It have a lot of relations with different regions. Let's see its role in the Middle East. It's one of the main countries in the Middle East, and this is it has an influence, a big influence actually. So I think the West need to think again and again for its relation with Turkey.
All right, like you mentioned, it has a very geopolitically important position there. And of course, there is frustration there for kind of the delay of the accession. However, from the EU's perspective, there's also a little bit of struggle, isn't there? On one hand, we do want to bring Turkey back into the fold. However, there are also some of the compatibility issues when it comes to conducting this dialogue with Turkey. What do you think can be done on EU's part to kind of facilitate that and accelerate some of these processes? And what can bring Turkey to kind of be more aligned with some of the European values in order for the European nations to be willing to accept Turkey as one of the EU members?
Yeah, I will be honest with you on this point. Actually, let's think of why EU rejected Turkey for many times from joining the European Union. I think there's a lot of fear in the European Union leaders from the joining of Turkey. Some of these fears are ideological fears from the Turkey being a very big Islamic state with more than 85 million. There are some fears from immigration, from the lifestyle of the Europeans, from changing this lifestyle. So I think some fears are bigger than the economic fears and so on. It's a political, ideological, religious, some of it, and so on. I think the European Union needs to think of, does this deserve from being Turkey or go to Russia? I think this is a very, very strategic threat for the European Union. If Turkey became a closer ally for the Russia or for China, this will be very dangerous for the future of European Union. So I think they need to negotiate. They need to talk more and more. It's good for the European Union to put some limits with Turkey, if it will be a member of the EU. And also Turkey have to make a lot of changes on democracy and so on, and human rights and so on. This is also important for the EU.
So it does take efforts from both parts. Thank you so much for bringing all your input and insight on this very complicated situation. Really appreciate it, and thanks for being with us on Eastern Express.
Thank you for having me. Thank you all.
Cheers. And now we're moving on to the Eastern News Flash, a series of all the other stories from the East that you don't want to miss. Poland's President Andrzej Duda hosted his Georgian counterpart at the presidential palace in Warsaw. The leaders discussed key issues including security and Georgia's aspirations to join the European Union.
Matters of security and Georgia's European aspirations featured high in the Tuesday discussions held by Poland's President Duda and Georgian President Salome Zurabishvili. President Duda continued saying he touched on Georgia's relations with Armenia, the potential resolution of the conflict with Azerbaijan, but above all, the European aspirations of a large part of Georgian society and the upcoming parliamentary elections in the country. Andrzej Duda thanked Zurabishvili for her participation in the Warsaw Security Forum, calling her an experienced politician who undertakes efforts to build a democratic Georgia.
Meanwhile, in Georgia, the controversial Russian-inspired law has led to its first listing of foreign agents. Which NGOs have been impacted by this regulation? Well, find out more in this report.
As many as 9 Georgian NGOs have been put on the country's register of foreign agents, becoming the first additions to the list since the controversial law on foreign influence came into force 2 months ago. On Tuesday, a total of 5 NGOs were added, including Youth Organization of Ukrainians in Georgia, Svitanok, Professional Union of Farmers and Agricultural Workers of Georgia, Kutaisi Youth House, Union of Christians, and the Jewish Cultural and Educational Foundation. Later, 4 other organizations were added: Girls World Leaders, Tbilisi Youth House, Inclusive Practices, and the Association of Initiatives, Development, and Employment. The organizations' names, along with their financial disclosures, have been made public on the official website of Georgia's Public Registry of Foreign Agents.
Now to France, where an opposition figure known for his outspoken criticism of Azerbaijan's president has been brutally attacked in his home, suffering severe beating and stab wounds.
Vidadi Izgandarli, an Azerbaijani opposition figure in exile, died on Monday in a hospital in France, where doctors fought for over a day to keep him alive, despite the wounds he suffered in the attack. The victim's brother said that on Sunday he received a video call from his brother trying to stem the bleeding from his abdomen with a pillow, following an attack by 3 masked men who had broken into his apartment in Mulhouse in eastern France. The brother said Vidadi was clueless as to the identity and motive of the assailants, who did not speak and wore masks.
Mark Rutte, who has taken over as NATO's Secretary General from Jens Stoltenberg, wasted no time in expressing his firm support for Ukraine. More details in this report.
The former and the longest-serving Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte took office as NATO's Secretary General, pledging unwavering support for embattled Ukraine. He argued there could be no lasting security in Europe without a strong, independent Ukraine. The Dutchman reaffirmed the commitment made by the organization's leaders in 2008 that Ukraine's rightful place is in NATO. Apparently enjoying close relations with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Rutte, as Dutch Prime Minister, made sure that Ukraine was provided with F-16 fighter aircraft. He also contributed to securing stronger EU economic sanctions on Moscow, despite Dutch dependency on trade, and helped Ukraine in its ambitions to continue on the EU accession path.
And that's all for now on this episode of Eastern Express. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.